The neon rain-slicked streets of Baekjong glistened under the alien sky, casting fractured reflections on the puddles of the deserted city. It was late, far later than anyone should be wandering alone. And yet Lin, a young engineer returning from the research outpost, hurried along the cracked pavement. The faint hum of distant drones echoed between the buildings, warning her that the city was never truly empty anymore. Her eyes darted constantly, scanning shadows that moved too quickly, shapes that lingered a second too long. Stories of the strangers, creatures not quite human, not quite machine, had spread through the city, and each rumor made the night heavier, more dangerous. Lin clutched her satchel tighter, the weight of her datapads insignificant compared to the fear coursing through her veins. Up ahead, a narrow alley beckoned, a shortcut she'd taken many times before, but tonight, the darkness seemed thicker there, almost palpable. As she stepped forward, a low metallic growl vibrated through the air.
Ling Floe.
The hair on her arms stood on end. Her pulse quickened as a shadow detached itself from the wall. It wasn't a person. Not exactly. The figure had elongated limbs, glimmering in pale bioluminescence, its movements deliberate, predatory. Its head tilted unnaturally, observing her with two amber eyes that seemed too intelligent, too calculating for something wild. Lin's voice caught in her throat. Who's there? The creature didn't answer. Instead, it advanced, slow, confident, each step pressing against the wet pavement with silent authority. Panic surged, but her mind, trained in engineering logic, fought back. She noted the creature's movement patterns, its footfalls, the way it kept its body low, calculating its distance. Then, before she could react, another sound shattered the night, a whistle, sharp, human, but somehow amplified, echoing off the buildings. From the shadows, a man appeared, clad in tactical gear with a makeshift energy rifle slung across his back. He moved with the confidence of someone who had seen horrors Lin could only imagine. His eyes locked on hers. "Move back," he commanded. His voice was firm, steady, and commanding. "Don't make a sound." The creature paused, sensing the presence of a second mind. Its head swiveled unnaturally, the bioluminescence on its chest pulsing in agitation. Lin realized with a jolt, this was no ordinary predator. This was the Hunters, a species engineered for a single purpose, to terrorize, hunt, and eliminate. And, tonight, they had chosen her. The man stepped closer, kneeling slightly to lower his profile. "I'm Callum," he whispered. "You're not safe here. Come with me." Lin's instinct screamed to flee, but her body was frozen. The creature had begun circling, eyes never leaving her. She had no time to calculate her escape. The city, her home, the streets she thought she knew, had turned into a hunting ground. Without another word, Callum grabbed her arm. "Run," he shouted, dragging her into a side passageway. The creature reacted instantly, sprinting with terrifying speed. Its limbs flexed like mechanical blades, and it struck the ground with force that made concrete crack beneath it. Lin stumbled, fear and adrenaline merging into a singular drive to survive. They turned corners, ducked through debris-strewn alleys, and finally reached an abandoned warehouse. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the smell of oil and decay. Callum slammed a heavy metal door shut, pressing his body against it to hold it in place. Lin gasped, trying to catch her breath. What is that thing?" Callum exhaled slowly. "Hunters. Engineered to find us, track us, kill us. You're lucky I was nearby. Most people aren't." Lin's hands shook as she took in his words. Why me?" Callum glanced at her, his amber eyes fierce, yet tinged with empathy. "Because you were walking alone. They pick targets who are vulnerable. That's their instinct. But you're not helpless. Not entirely. You just need someone to guide you." The warehouse was silent, except for their ragged breathing. Outside, the creature scratched at the metal door, claws sparking as they met steel. It roared, a sound that shook the dust from the rafters and echoed like a death sentence. Callum turned to Lin. "Listen to me. Stay low. Follow my lead. You're going to see things you don't believe, things no human was meant to face. But you will survive. And when you do, it will change you forever. Lynn's fear was almost unbearable, but beneath it, a spark of determination kindled. She had always been strong in her own way, solving impossible problems, decoding alien tech, surviving disasters. She realized now that those skills weren't academic exercises. They were preparation. Preparation for tonight. The creature's scraping grew louder. Callum grabbed a small energy flare from his belt, igniting it. Light splashed across the warehouse, casting jagged shadows. The creature hissed, recoiling just enough to give them a moment's advantage. Move, Callum hissed, pulling Lynn toward a hidden exit in the back wall. They slipped through a narrow maintenance tunnel, the hum of alien energy growing fainter. Lynn stumbled, pain shooting through her ankle, but Callum steadied her. Almost there. Keep moving. They emerged into the open air of an abandoned transit yard. Mist rolled in from the river, swallowing shapes and adding another layer of uncertainty. Callum scanned the horizon. Drones patrolled above, their sensors scanning for heat signatures. He pulled a compact device from his pack, pressing it to his wrist. A holographic map projected in front of them. We're close to the safe zone, he said. But there's a risk. Reinforcements will arrive soon. Lynn looked up at him, trembling. I can't run much further. Callum shook his head. You can. You will. You have to. Humans survive because we refuse to give up, no matter what they throw at us. That's why we're different. Her eyes widened. Different how? Because we fight back, Callum said simply. Because we endure. Because we care for each other when no one else does. And tonight, that choice helping you will change more than just your life. Before she could respond, a sharp screech echoed from the riverbank. Callum froze. Drones, no longer distant, now hovered close, their lights piercing through the mist. The hunters, relentless, were not far behind. Callum grabbed Lynn's hand. We go now. And whatever happens next, you trust me. Lynn nodded, fear and determination blending into resolve. For the first time in hours, she felt the stirrings of hope. Humans were never meant to be helpless. And tonight, she was about to discover just how dangerous a determined human could be. As they sprinted across the misty yard, shadows shifting around them, the first flames of battle ignited in the distance. The city she had known was gone.
The rules had changed.
Survival was no longer just about fleeing, it was about fighting, outsmarting, and rising beyond what the aliens expected. Callum glanced at her, eyes fierce. Ready.
Linh xoa lao, nodding.
Ready. The first confrontation was only the beginning. Somewhere in the night, the hunters waited, calculating, precise. But humans, she realized, had something they didn't. Heart, courage, and an unbreakable will. And that was just the start. Mist curled around the abandoned transit yard, hiding their movements from the hovering alien drones, but it was a thin veil. Lynn's breaths were ragged, her legs burned, but adrenaline sharpened her focus. She followed Callum, trusting his instincts even as every shadow seemed alive with menace. Keep low, keep moving, Callum whispered. His hand remained firmly on hers, guiding her through piles of rusted cargo containers. We have a route through the maintenance tunnels. Faster than open streets. Safer. Lynn nodded, though her mind spun. The city she had known, its narrow alleys, quiet parks, familiar landmarks, was gone, replaced by a nightmare of hunting drones, bioluminescent hunter patrols, and the unrelenting hum of alien machinery. She felt the weight of helplessness, but Callum's presence anchored her. Humans survived not by running alone, but by relying on each other. Tonight, she was learning why. They reached the first tunnel entrance. It was partially collapsed, jagged steel and broken concrete forming a natural barrier. Callum crouched low, signaling Lynn to do the same. This is it. Stay close. And whatever you hear, do not stop. From the mist behind them came a low, mechanical roar. Lynn froze. every nerve screaming. The hunter was close, its limbs flexing unnaturally, claws scraping metal and stone. Callum's eyes met hers, sharp and commanding. Move! They crawled through the narrow tunnel, water dripping from overhead pipes and echoing with every footstep. The darkness pressed in, threatening to suffocate them, but Callum's knowledge of the city's forgotten infrastructure kept them ahead of their pursuers. Every corner, every broken conduit was a potential trap, both for them and for the hunter. Lynn's hand brushed against something metallic. She froze. Callum's whisper was immediate.
Go.
Don't stop. Her fingers gripped it. It was a compact EMP device he had stashed in his pack. For what? She asked, whispering. Callum's gaze hardened. If they get too close, it will disable the drones long enough for us to escape. Only enough time for one chance. One shot. The tunnel opened into a cavernous underpass, abandoned trains rusting on tracks, their steel groaning under the weight of decay. Shadows moved among the trains, drones scuttling, the mechanical hum vibrating through the walls. Lynn's heart pounded in her chest. She had never felt so small. Suddenly, a beam of bioluminescent light pierced the darkness. The hunter had entered the underpass. Its amber eyes glowed with precision, scanning, calculating.
Ling Floe.
Callum didn't. He held the EMP in one hand, guiding her with the other. Now, he whispered. He slammed the device against the wall. A pulse of blue energy rippled outward, short-circuiting the nearest drones. Sparks flew, and alarms screamed. The hunter hissed in response, momentarily disoriented. Run! Callum shouted. They sprinted down the tracks, leaping over debris and fallen steel. The hunter regained its focus, muscles coiling as it lunged. Its claws tore through the metal behind them, sending sparks into the air. Lynn's mind raced, every instinct screaming that this could be her last night alive. But she pushed forward. Humans survive not by fear, but by action. Callum reached a derelict train car and pulled Lynn inside. They crouched in darkness, bodies pressed against the cold floor. The hunter passed by, its amber eyes scanning every crevice. Lynn's chest heaved as she tried to regulate her breathing. You okay? Callum whispered. Lynn nodded, though sweat and grime streaked her face. I think so.
Good, he said.
Because the real test isn't over yet. That hunter, it's not alone. They communicate. Reinforcements will come if it fails.
Ling Shosatomak Twisted.
She had thought escaping one was enough. She was wrong. A soft metallic click echoed through the train car.
Ling Stiphen.
Callum's hand shot out, grabbing hers again. Stay calm. Don't make a sound. A small, insect-like reconnaissance drone scuttled into the car, sensors scanning. Callum pressed the EMP trigger again. Sparks flew, disabling the drone mid-scan.
Ling Esalequiali.
Good work, she whispered. Callum's eyes met hers. Humans are adaptable. That's why we survive. They moved on, using the shadows of abandoned trains to cover their approach to the city's maintenance hub. Every step was calculated, every breath measured. The outside world seemed miles away, yet the hunter's presence loomed like a predator waiting just beyond the edge of her perception. Finally, they reached a service hatch leading to the upper levels of the city. Callum inspected the lock mechanism, fingers deftly moving over controls. Lynn watched, amazed at his efficiency. It wasn't just courage that defined him, it was intelligence, resourcefulness. Humans weren't just brawn. We survived with brains, with strategy, with unwavering will. The lock clicked open. They climbed out onto a deserted rooftop. The city stretched before them. Twinkling lights in the distance, alien structures rising above human architecture. Above, drones patrolled, but the rooftop offered temporary cover. Callum paused, surveying the area. We have to move fast. The safe zone is only a few blocks from here, but the streets are crawling with patrols. Lynn's eyes widened. We can do it. Callum smiled faintly, determination burning in his eyes. We will do it. Because humans don't give up. The first drone whirred closer, scanning for movement. Callum grabbed a discarded metal pipe and held it in front of him like a spear. Lin's eyes widened. "You're going to fight it?" "Sometimes you don't have a choice," he said. The drone fired a pulse. Callum deflected it with a pipe, sparks showering into the misty air.
Lin duket instinkito.
"Follow me," he shouted, sprinting across the rooftop. Lin scrambled after him, heart hammering. The drone pursued, but Callum tossed an improvised EMP grenade from his belt. The device detonated midair, disabling the drone in a burst of blue light. Lin stumbled to catch her breath. You're incredible." Callum looked back, eyes glinting.
No.
"Humans are incredible. You're incredible. You just didn't know it yet." The city's skyline beckoned them. Safe zone within reach, but not yet secured. More hunters were out there. More drones would arrive. Each step forward was a gamble, a battle of wits, reflexes, and courage. Lin realized the truth. Tonight, survival wasn't just about running. It was about fighting, outsmarting, enduring. And for the first time, she felt the surge of HFY spirit, human ingenuity, human heart, human will to survive against impossible odds. Callum glanced at her, voice firm. "We've come this far. Don't stop now. The night isn't over, and neither are we." Together, they sprinted toward the distant glow of the safe zone, shadows dancing around them, every heartbeat a testament to human resilience. The night was alive with danger, but for the first time, Lin believed that humans could survive anything. And somewhere in the darkness, the hunters recalculated, adaptive as ever, unaware that humans had already begun rewriting the rules of the hunt. The glow of the safe zone was closer now, but danger had never felt more immediate. The mist from the river clung to the streets, swirling around the crumbling buildings of Bakjong, masking threats in its cold embrace. Callum's grip on Lin's hand was firm, guiding her through broken alleyways and collapsed overpasses. Every shadow could conceal a hunter or a drone, every reflective puddle a threat. "They're adapting faster than we thought," Callum muttered, scanning the rooftops with a handheld scanner. "The initial EMPs slowed them, but reinforcements are en route. We need a plan, fast." Lin's lungs burned as she followed him, but she had never felt more alive. Fear had transformed into determination, and determination into courage. Humans survived because we faced the impossible, not because we ran from it. Her heart pounded, but she trusted Callum, and she trusted herself. They reached a narrow overpass leading to a half-collapsed skyscraper. From this vantage, the safe zone glimmered below, like a promise of sanctuary. But the sound of metal scraping against concrete froze them. The hunter that had pursued them since the warehouse emerged from the mist, larger and more terrifying than before. Its limbs moved with mechanical precision, claws gleaming as it advanced. Callum pushed Lin behind a concrete pillar. "Stay low," he whispered. "We can't outrun this one in open ground." The hunter's amber eyes glowed, scanning, calculating. Its head twisted unnaturally, following every movement. Callum checked the EMP device strapped to his wrist. It had one full charge left, enough for a critical moment, if they timed it perfectly. "Lin," he said quietly, "when I say now, you run toward the stairwell. I'll create the distraction." Her stomach nodded. "What about you?" "I'll survive." "We always do," he said with a half-smile. "Trust me." The hunter lunged first. Callum rolled to the side, slamming a pipe against the creature's forelimb, sparks flying as metal met metal. Lin stumbled but regained her balance, adrenaline sharpening her focus. She sprinted toward the stairwell as planned, glancing back to see Callum baiting the hunter, leading it through a series of precarious scaffolding and debris. It struck with terrifying force, smashing through steel beams and concrete slabs, but Callum's agility kept him one step ahead. He hurled small EMP grenades, each explosion sending sparks and bursts of static, momentarily disorienting the hunter. Lin ascended the stairwell, lungs burning, heart racing. She could hear the chaos behind her, the hunter's roar, the clang of debris, Callum's commands and shouts. Finally, she reached the rooftop overlooking the city streets. From here, She could see multiple hunter reinforcements converging, their movements calculated, relentless. Panic threatened to grip her, but she forced herself to breathe, to think. Humans survived by using intelligence, by exploiting weaknesses, by refusing to surrender. Callum emerged on the rooftop below, facing the hunter alone, and for a moment, Lynn feared the worst. But then she saw the strategy unfold. He wasn't just fighting. He was leading the hunter toward the abandoned drone control hub, a facility once used for city security, now long defunct but still capable of controlled EMP discharges. The hunter lunged again. Callum rolled, narrowly avoiding claws that could have torn him in half. With precise timing, he triggered the control hub. A pulse of blue energy erupted across the streets, scrambling the hunter's sensors. Machines sparked, limbs froze, and the creatures faltered, momentarily disoriented. Lynn descended from the rooftop, taking advantage of the chaos. She joined Callum in the hub, panting, exhausted, but alive. Around them, the city streets were a mess of twisted metal, smoldering fires, and scattered debris. Yet humans endured. Callum's eyes met hers. "You're doing well," he said. "Better than I expected." Most humans would have panicked. She laughed softly, the sound hollow but triumphant. I had a good teacher." Suddenly, a sharper, more deliberate noise echoed from the shadows. A hunter elite, larger, faster, smarter than the ones they'd faced, emerged from the mist. Its amber eyes glowed brighter, scanning, analyzing. It had adapted, learning from the chaos. Callum stepped forward, fists clenched. Time to finish this. The elite hunter struck with incredible speed. Callum dodged, countering with precise blows. Lynn's mind raced. She had seen humans survive because of courage, because of ingenuity, because of unity. And now it was time to participate. She grabbed a discarded drone, modified it quickly using the data pads she carried. Connecting it to the hub's emergency override system, she activated a pulse. Sparks flew, and the elite hunter faltered, its neural network disrupted. Callum seized the opportunity, tackling the hunter into a heap of debris, using its own weight against it. The fight was brutal, raw, but the human's perseverance paid off. Slowly, the hunter ceased its struggle, immobilized but not destroyed, a symbol of human ingenuity and tactical skill. Lynn sank to her knees, exhausted, but relief flooded her. "We did it," she whispered. Callum put a hand on her shoulder. "Not yet," he said. "More coming. But we've proven something. We're humans. We survive. And we fight smarter, harder, better." Across the city, other survivors peered from shadows, watching the humans' victory. Hope sparked, a reminder that even in the face of alien terror, humans could endure, could resist, could rise above. The safe zone loomed ahead, guarded now by both technology and human courage. Lynn and Callum, battered but undefeated, moved forward. Every step was a statement. Humanity would not be dominated, would not be hunted without a fight, would never surrender. Above them, hunter drones regrouped, sending signals back to the alien mothership. But tonight, humans had rewritten the rules. Tonight, bravery, intellect, and heart had triumphed over raw predatory power. Callum glanced at Lynn. Rest is coming. But the real fight, it's only beginning. And in the distance, the city lights flickered with possibility. For the first time in decades, humans were not prey. Humans were the storm. The safe zone stretched before them, a jagged oasis in the midst of Backjohn's devastated cityscape. Fires smoldered in abandoned streets, but a handful of humans had fortified positions with scavenged energy barriers and improvised turrets. Lynn's legs ached, her hands were raw from gripping equipment, but determination fueled her every step. Humans didn't quit. Humans didn't surrender.
Human s'adapta.
Callum scanned the perimeter with a handheld detector. "We're not out of this yet," he muttered. "The elite hunter is only the first wave. The mothership knows we're here. It will send more. Drones, hunters, everything it has. And they'll coordinate." Lynn swallowed, steeling herself. Fear was still there, Yes, but now was tempered with resolve. They had survived so far through strategy, quick thinking, and pure human tenacity. Tonight, it was no longer enough to flee. They would fight, and they would triumph. Above, alien drones swarmed, their lights slicing through the night sky. Callum handed Lynn a modified EMP rifle scavenged from the transit hub. "Cover me while I plant the charges on the rooftop cannons," he said. "Once they're online, we can push them back." The climb to the rooftops was perilous. Hunters patrolled below, drones whirred overhead, and the wind carried the metallic scent of alien machinery. Lynn moved like a shadow, crouching behind broken walls, darting from cover to cover. Her hands shook as she aimed, but her mind was steady, focus, timing, accuracy. Humans survived because they could think, react, and improvise when brute force alone failed. Callum planted the first charge, setting it with precise calculations. "Now," he signaled. Lynn fired the EMP rifle. Blue arcs of energy surged outward, scrambling sensors and sending drones crashing into walls. Hunters shrieked in frustration, momentarily blinded, their coordinated movements disrupted. "Good work," Callum shouted, covering her as she ran to the next charge. "Keep it up. We're not done yet." The elite hunter, recovering from the previous EMP disruption, roared and lunged toward them. Its claws struck the rooftop, sending shards of concrete flying. Callum dove, narrowly avoiding the attack. Lynn's hands shook as she reloaded, her mind racing. She remembered every lesson he had taught her: predict, anticipate, exploit weakness. With calculated timing, she aimed at the hunter's central bioluminescent core, the source of its neural coordination. The EMP pulse she fired struck true, sending sparks flying and jerking the creature backward. It screeched, disoriented, while Callum leapt onto its back, levering a metal pipe against its exoskeleton, exploiting its momentary vulnerability. The battle raged, a ballet of chaos and precision. Humans, though physically weaker than their adversaries, prevailed through ingenuity, coordination, and raw willpower. Every move Lynn made, every diversion Callum orchestrated, was proof that humanity's greatest weapon was its mind and its heart. Finally, with one coordinated strike, the elite hunter toppled, immobilized but alive, a testament to human strategy and endurance. Lynn dropped the rifle, chest heaving, sweat streaking her grime-covered face. Callum clapped her on the shoulder. "You did it. We did it." But their relief was short-lived. From the mist beyond the safe zone, a colossal shadow emerged, the alien mothership, pulsing with energy, sending waves of reinforcements. Hunters, drones, and alien war machines poured into the streets. It was the ultimate test, raw, overwhelming, terrifying. Callum's eyes hardened. This is it. The moment humans prove we're not prey. "Are you ready?" Lynn nodded, gripping a makeshift energy blade. Fear still lingered, but courage burned brighter. They had survived impossible odds. They would survive this. The battle began. Humans in fortified positions unleashed coordinated attacks, EMPs disabling drones, energy turrets blasting hunters into the shadows, Lynn and Callum striking from rooftops, flanking, exploiting every weakness. Every human in the safe zone became a symbol of defiance. Callum and Lynn fought together, a synchronized force of courage and intelligence. They moved with speed, precision, and determination. Hunters fell, drones fried, and the alien war machines faltered against human ingenuity. Lynn realized that the humans weren't just fighting for survival, they were redefining what it meant to be human. They were resilient, fearless, and unyielding. The mothership's presence grew more menacing, sending psychic pulses that destabilized equipment and disoriented humans. Yet, every obstacle forged more resolve. Callum shouted commands, coordinating a final strike. A human-engineered EMP pulse, amplified and focused through the city's power grid. Lynn's hands guided the targeting array, her mind calculating voltages, distances, angles. The pulse fired. Energy surged, cascading through the mothership systems, drones collapsing midair, alien war machines twitching and jerking, hunters incapacitated. Sparks and explosions illuminated the night sky. Humanity had struck the first blow, a brilliant display of courage, skill, and unbreakable will. Silence followed, broken only by the crackle of debris and the gasps of survivors. The mothership's pulse faltered, then disengaged, retreating into orbit. The hunters, without guidance, scattered, leaving the streets empty once more. Humans had won this battle, not through brute force, but through strategy, ingenuity, and the heart that no machine could replicate. Lynn sank to her knees, exhaustion overwhelming, yet tears of relief streaked her face. Callum knelt beside her. You see?
Humans surviva. Humans endura.
We adapt. And tonight, we fought as one. Around them, survivors emerged from hiding. Faces pale, bodies trembling, but eyes alight with renewed hope. The city had endured devastation, yet humanity had endured more. Lynn looked out over the city, seeing not destruction, but possibility. Every human who had fought, every mind that had calculated, every heart that had refused to surrender had proven that humans were a force unlike any other. HFY wasn't just a saying, it was truth. Callum placed a hand on her shoulder. We rebuild. We prepare. And next time, we're ready before they even arrive. She nodded. We're human. We always find a way. The night sky cleared slightly, the first hint of dawn breaking through the clouds. For the first time in years, Bakjong felt alive, not as prey, but as the battlefield of resilience, courage, and triumph. The story of this night would be told for generations, not as a tale of fear, but as a testament to the human spirit. Against impossible odds, humanity had not only survived, they had risen, fought, and conquered. And somewhere in orbit, the alien mothership paused, scanning, calculating, but it had learned a lesson that no machine could teach. Underestimate humanity at your own peril. Callum and Lynn stood side by side, battered but unbroken, watching the sun rise over a city that had survived because humans refused to bow. HFY. Humanity. Courage. Endurance. Triumph. The night was over. But the legend of that battle, the night humans fought the impossible, had only just begun.